those instruments used by the government to foster and encourage innovations and entrepreneurship. Industrial policy, right? Industrial policy has a specific meaning, but basically targeting knowledge economy, knowledge industries for specific support through subsidy or through contract procurement. Basically, this is what industrial policy does, and China has that approach as well. Seeding and spin-off entrepreneurial startups, that's another mechanism to foster innovations. Lenovo, which is now a very successful Chinese computer company, you can argue that Lenovo was a spin-off of Chinese Academy of Sciences, and there are other examples of successful Chinese entrepreneurial companies that were spin-off from the Chinese research institutions. There are also less direct mechanisms for the government to be involved, and those mechanisms have to do with financial market reforms and managing competition. I would argue that India has used mostly these two mechanisms rather than those direct mechanisms to support entrepreneurship, to support innovation. Right? So the role of the government in India is more about creating financial market, reform financial market, develop capital market, liberalize FDI controls, rather than direct R&D funding targeting specific industries for support. Right. We can argue which approach is better, but I think there are some very substantial differences between the two countries. In innovation literature, there's a term called Valley of the Death. That is to say, you have a piece of technology and you have innovations, but how do you get commercial viability is a big problem, right? So you can have very good early stage financing, and then you can have a very good piece of technology, but how to cross from one side of the valley to the other side of the valley, many of the projects fail at this level. In China, there are even more fundamental challenges facing Chinese entrepreneurs. The one big hurdle is how do you go from inventions to innovations, right? So this is an important concept developed by Professor William Baumol at New York University. He distinguishes between inventions, basically acquisitions of new knowledge, new capabilities, without any profit motivations, without any reference to creation of market value. Innovations are also about acquisition of new capabilities, but the innovations have to do with maximization of market value, right? You can think of many situations in which you can have a lot of inventions, but without innovations, right? Ancient China, right? So we all know that ancient China was very inventive, gunpowder, compass, and paper making, and things like that. But those inventions did not really play an important role in contributing to economic growth and economic development, right? So you can have a lot of inventions without innovations. Soviet Union had some substantial scientific breakthroughs, but Soviet economy was in a terrible situation, terrible shape. The Soviet economy didn't benefit from the scientific progress made by the Soviet scientists, right? So you can have a lot of inventions without innovations. The key thing is how do you go from inventions to innovations, and then how do you go from innovations to commercialization, right? So in China, at least there are two valleys to cross rather than just one. In the United States, I'm sure the same thing at University of Michigan, MIT, and Stanford. There are ways to take the knowledge from the laboratories of universities to the companies, to the entrepreneurial projects. This is well developed and very, very successful. In China, how to go from there to there is still a very difficult process. Let me go to the skip some of these things, and let me just mention one thing. If you study where entrepreneurship is located in China, there are some very interesting patterns. One contrast that I like to draw is between Shanghai and Zhejiang. In my last book, Capitalism with Chinese Characteristics, I have a chapter with the title, What is Wrong with Shanghai? I don't like Shanghai that much, and it's partially because I was born and raised in Beijing. But there are other reasons as well, hopefully more important reasons. If you compare Shanghai with Zhejiang, Shanghai had every reason to succeed in innovations, in entrepreneurship. It has a higher level of college enrollment, has more engineers, has more research scientists, spent more on R&D. And Zhejiang was historically a rural province. But if you look at a lot of these measures of entrepreneurial growth and innovations, a lot of the entrepreneurial growth and innovations actually came from Zhejiang province rather than from Shanghai. This is a picture of Jili, the entrepreneurial company based in Zhejiang. Earlier this year, they acquired Volvo in Sweden, and this is the Chinese entrepreneur Li Shufu. He looks extremely happy in this picture. Apparently, so does this guy. I'm not sure about him. He looks sort of tense, and this guy sort of is pretending to be happy. But this is a largest scale of acquisition by a Chinese company of a foreign automobile company. It comes from Zhejiang province. And there are other successful stories from Zhejiang province rather than from Shanghai. This is a company based in Zhejiang province making an investment in an Israeli green tech company. The Zhejiang entrepreneurs are actively thinking about green tech, actively thinking about different ways of acquiring technologies. And if you talk to many Chinese entrepreneurs, they tend to have the view, what is known as not invented here, right? So if I don't invent this stuff, then I won't use it. But the Zhejiang entrepreneurs have come around to the view that there are a lot of inventions elsewhere. There are a lot of innovations elsewhere. You don't actually need to reinvent everything by yourself. You just go out and acquire these capabilities, acquire these assets. I think it's really, really very progressive and very visionary for Chinese entrepreneurs to begin to think about how to grow their company in that way. And Zhejiang entrepreneurs have led, these are all private sector entrepreneurs, have led the way in terms of that thinking of entrepreneurship. This is the patent data. The green line represents Shanghai to Zhejiang ratio.